today and excited. And I know we're going to talk about how one overcomes stage fright and how and where an author might get a speaking gig. But I have some questions for you before I get into those questions.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I am more than pleased to just spew forth anything that you want to know.
You're always like that. You're always so helpful. It's one of the very many things I admire about you, Rosemarie. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So authors need to promote their books.
Yes, they do.
So speaking on stage is a great way to do that. And I know they're going to want to know, how do I deal with stage fright? I know they're going to want to know, how do I get speaking gigs? But what I'd like them to know first is a little bit more about you. So can you tell us about your background and what led you to want to help people become more confident?
Oh, I certainly will answer that, but given my age, it could take quite a while. My history is that I'm firmly versed in the world of performance. I have degrees in drama, I have degrees in music, I have a degree in education, my walls are papered with degrees, all of which, with minors in English all the way along. I am a self-proclaimed grammar Nazi. I value the power of the word. But here's the problem. You see, you can have all the brilliance in your head that you can possibly stuff in there, but if you can't share those ideas, that's all they remain, is ideas. You have to speak, you have to share. Now, some of us are better at speaking, some of us are better at writing, some of us are better at putting it to music and singing a song. My background is theater and music, with a great big side helping of education. So what do? I communicate. Whether it's on a stage, in a boardroom, in a theater, I communicate. And I have great reverence for the power of communication. It can instill hope. It can destroy hope. It can inspire to greatness. It can devour you whole. The word is magnificently powerful. So I go to great lengths to share that thought. In today's society that's getting increasingly casual, my language is coming along for the ride, which is fine and great and dandy, unless you're in an executive office. And then, is just not going to wash. So my background as a grammar Nazi, as a drama person teaching others to act and in theater, and as a musician conducting choirs and being a classically trained musician myself, means that confidence on stage is vital for me.
That's excellent. So what led you to want to help other people, though? Because why
do I want to help other people?
But you've got this helping thing going on here.
I do. Being a teacher is not necessarily something I always am, although I am accredited, etc. But it's something I am. It's not something I always do.
Okay.
If I can help another person get their ideas and their brilliance shared and out into the world, then I will have fulfilled my purpose, which is to leave this planet this much better than I found it. We can't do that if we don't have the confidence to stand up and say so. We can't help anybody. We can't reach. We can't change things. We cannot make the world a better place if we don't have the confidence to speak our views.
I love it. I love it, Rosemarie. Okay, so you have 3 internationally best-selling books. You have Confident Public Speaking, Confident Leadership in the 21st Century, and Confident Reinvention. And your business is called Confident Stages. So as most everyone wants to feel more confident, the word confident, as I see it, is an excellent brand identifier. Everyone's going to identify with that and remember it. So here's my question. Why don't people naturally feel confident? Is it the stories we tell ourselves or something else, perhaps an innate human characteristic? Why don't we feel confidence naturally? I just don't get it.
No one can give you confidence. Because confidence is your trust and belief in your own abilities. No one can give that to you. That has to come by yourself. The trick is that confidence, you see, here's the idea that, and we're getting it wrong. Confidence doesn't come from always being right. Confidence comes from the knowledge that when you're in a peck of trouble, you can get yourself out. Confidence, therefore, comes not from success, but rather navigating through failure, trouble, angst.
I love it.
If you can read all about how to change a tire on your car. You can know the theory inside out and backwards. But until you actually change the tire on the car, you really don't know that you can.
Like it.
Things are frightening though. When you haven't done it once, it's scary. And our comfort zones are very nicely comforting. We have our big pillows, we have our wubbies, we have our blankies inside our comfort zone. Everything is fine. And so we're loath to step out of that nice, warm, cuddly place. But we don't learn inside our comfort zone. We learn just outside, too far outside the comfort zone, and we just become overwhelmed and recoil. But just outside the comfort zone is where we learn. As soon as we step outside of the comfort zone and we learn something new, something we didn't know before, as soon as we conquer yet another little tiny inch even, that's when we gain confidence.
I love it. So it's really just a matter of getting out there and trying and being willing to step a little out of your comfort zone without going too far, and accepting that failure is how you get confidence.
Nothing is a failure unless you haven't.
Good point, Rosemary. Good catch.
If you've learned something, it's not a failure. It's an opportunity to learn. And there is confidence building in that. Knowing you can learn is the biggest confidence stance you can take. I don't know it yet, but I am confident that I can learn it.
I love it. I love it. So I visited your website and I downloaded, and I need to thank you for this, your PDF of the 15 top presentation tips for business speakers. So it's an excellent summary. It really taught me a lot just reading the 15 points. Like, I learned a lot from that. So thank you. That helped me with my confidence. And you have a tip regarding vocal finesse where you say access to head voice, mixed voice, and chest voice are minimum requirements for being an excellent speaker, right? Can you tell me what the difference is between the three? Because I didn't understand that.
No, you would need someone to explain it to you. You would.
Yes, I do.
It is the same for singing as speaking. Now, you do not have to be a trained singer to be a good speaker at all. Just that singers get it easier because we already know how to differentiate. Here's the thing. If you are speaking as if you are in a football stadium and you are cheering on your team, that is neither head voice, mixed voice, or it's none of those. It's yelling. When you want to be heard, unfortunately, many speakers simply up the volume. And then the voice comes straight at you instead of over top of you, sprinkling your wisdom and pixie dust over their heads. You feel like you're being assaulted when a speaker is yelling at you. So chest voice is named such because we use the resonating chambers in our chest. That's chest voice. The voice is low. The voice sounds all kinds of powerful and authoritative in our heads, but it doesn't go anywhere. That's a lower frequency wave. It travels slowly. It doesn't have the energy, and it dies about this far from your mouth. And yet women in particular have this idea that unless they sound like a man with a lower voice, that they're not going to be taken seriously. And I'm going to stomp my self-righteous little foot in indignation when I tell you that if no one can hear you, you aren't going to impress anyone anyway. So get out of the chest voice. Head voice is the way that you would speak to a frightened child. Now, these are extreme situations, but hi, sweetie, where's your mommy? That's head voice. This doesn't mean when you're a speaker, you're going to go up there and do like this either. However, the head voice is the higher frequency voice. Not up here in squeak tone, because that's just silly. But head voice is the one where we use these resonating chambers. And it doesn't sound so big in our head, but it's the one that travels. Consider an orchestra. You've got the double basses and you've got the trombones and the trumpets and the timpani, and one single flute can pierce through that whole din of sound and be heard. Because that's the frequency that carries. It's mixed voice then is a combination of the two. And speakers must know how to access all of them. Because you know what the biggest enemy of speaking is? Boredom, monotony, sameness.
Right.
This is our moneymaker if you're a speaker. Knowing how to use your voice, knowing how to change pitches, knowing how to change tempo, knowing how to change pacing, knowing how to use pauses for effect.
Right.
This is all vocal finesse, and you do that all within all three ranges of the voice. You cannot possibly bore your audience if you are using your voice to its full capacity.
I love that, Rosemarie. Those are things I've never even thought about. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you. That's amazing.
My pleasure. Now, they sound easy. It takes a little bit of work to find them, but not too much.
I would have to practice in front of the mirror, I think.
Well, you'd have to practice with knowing what you have to do is learn how to hear. More than learning how to use your voice, what you have to do is learn how to hear so that you can hear when your voice is doing it. Similarly, if you're in music, your vocal cords will flap away and do their thing naturally. But if you can't hear whether you're making the sounds you want to make, then what good is it doing? So a lot of speaker training is ear training. Can you hear yourself?
I like it. That makes total sense. So more listening than caring what you look like, just practicing around the house, I guess.
Well, now here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, and I'm just going to destroy everything that I just said.
Oh.
Our voice is extraordinarily valuable because it is the vehicle on which our message is carried.
Right.
Wait, because as a speaker, you are then only 95% of your message is sent other than with your voice. A mere 95% is physiological.
Physiological?
Physiological. It is the alignment of whether your face, your voice, and your body and your gestures align. Because if they don't, it is always the body language that is taken as true. Now, put that into the world of the author.
Yeah.
And how do you use those same principles for authorship?
Right.
To be an author means that you, again, cannot bore your readers with sameness. We all have a writer's voice. Mm-hmm. We all have our own style of sharing the written word. And we all have our own way of writing. Some of us prefer short, concise sentences. Others prefer flowers and rainbows. Others prefer, the direct approach, the indirect approach. Some use stories, some use illustrations, some don't use any of them and just hope their word is enough. It's the same thing between speaking and authorship. There is, however, this little problem. If you write your script, you will sound like you are reading.
Right.
And you will not sound authentic, and you will not be believed. So what do you need to do? There are different ways of writing for books than writing for spoken presentations.
That makes sense. And that's what you teach.
I do.
So which of your books would be the best for an author to get that's just embarking? The public speaking book, Your Confident Public Speaking, do you think that would be the best one, or the reinvention?
The Confident Public Speaking book is chock-a-block full of valuable, functional information. It tells you everything about how to prepare, how to write it, how to learn it, how to rehearse it, how to present it, how to get onto the platform, how to get off the platform, and everything in between. It also has a really good chunk of confidence building activities. I'm going to tell you the one thing that when you are speaking and you're speaking to promote a book, excuse me, you are going to, not you, we get nervous because we are vulnerable. The only thing more vulnerable is being up there naked. But we're standing there hoping that people will like our work, hoping that people will like us. Being vulnerable in the nth degree, it's debatable in our society, which is the bigger fear, death or public speaking. In my version, if you can conquer the world of public speaking, what then can you not do?
Great.
I can't help you with death, but I can help you with public speaking. And if you can be confident there, everything else is small change. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I am so pleased. I am so thrilled to know that in British Columbia, at least, public speaking is back in the high school curriculum.
Oh, it is? Oh,
It
excellent.
It is. And I'm equally pleased to tell you that this Confident Public Speaking book was highly recommended as the textbook for teaching it.
Oh, I love that.
So there you go. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
Huge.
If you want some ideas about how to speak in public and you learn well from written material, and it's pretty little pictures and whatnot that are in there, it covers everything from how to breathe to how to stand. And I'll give you the jewel. I'll give you the nugget. When you are up there speaking, you have too much to think about everything. So you end up thinking about nothing and going on sheer gut resolve.
Right.
You have to breathe. You have to let your body tell a story. You have to be relaxed enough to make it conversational. Public speaking is not a conversation, but it must be conversational.
Mm-hmm.
There's one clue to help you get through that all. You have to engage your core. Now let's start thinking about all the ways that you can engage your core.
Okay.
Here's the one simple thing you can do to get you through most of all of this. Tighten your cheeks, not these ones. Make diamonds back there. Pretend you've got a little lump of coal and you're going to turn that puppy into a diamond.
Okay.
Now, when you do that, if you're listening, just go ahead and tighten your backside. Nothing else, just your backside.
I'm trying.
You have now engaged the goddess muscles, or the god muscles if you're male.
Okay.
You have now engaged your core. Now you can breathe deeply. From that stance, you are free to move. From that stance, your shoulders all of a sudden just drop. Your chest goes high. Your head is perched on top like the treasure that it is. Okay. This does not mean that for the rest of your life, you're going to walk around as if something is happening back there. But you learn so quickly, your body, the muscle memory learns so quickly the stance for speaking.
Okay.
That it takes over the second you're up there, and all you need to do is do it once or twice deliberately, and the body goes, nom, 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 this is fabulous, I will do this.
Really?
Yes.
Well, because I read that tip, and I thought I might look like, I had a broom there.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Look stiff and stuffy, but that's not what happens.
Mm-mm.
I love it.
No, it's freeing. Because if you put all your nervous energy into back there,
Yeah.
and it can hold a lot, the rest of you is free to relax.
I love it.
Mm,
I'm going to try that.
you bet.
Okay, so you've given us a lot of information, and I'm just going to ask you, is there something that I haven't thought to ask you about public speaking that hasn't come up right now that would be helpful for all of us nervous people?
Yes, I would like to tell you to leave your fingers at home.
Your fingers?
Leave your fingers at
It's
home.
not like the yellow pages?
Do not, yeah, fingers are not going to go walking here.
Okay.
If I was to point at you, that can be seen as accusatory.
Oh, I see.
Use your hand motion instead. Now I'm going to say, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the stage.
Okay.
The other thing to notice is that fingers mean different things in different countries.
Oh.
This is, yeah, baby, A-okay, it's great. Here, in a lot of the rest of the world, this doesn't mean A-okay. It has that same meaning as that other one.
Okay, not good.
So, and this one is terrible because, as I say, you are singling someone out.
No, I get that.
If they happen to be in the line of your pointing, they become very uncomfortable. The other thing that you want to do is realize that hand movements must be done as a unit. So if I'm going to motion for someone to close the door, make a wall, this just doesn't work.
Right.
And yet when we are so afraid of doing this because it looks stuffy. So what I'm saying to you is use your hands as a unit without all the 5 digits on them, because your fingers will get you into trouble.
No, I love it. I never ever thought of that. Wow.
You
have so much information, Rosemarie. I'm so happy to have you here and helping us.
Gestures can get you into a lot of trouble. This, come here. Well, in warm tropical climates,
Yes.
That's how you call an animal. That's how you call your dog or your horse. So to tell someone, come on up on the stage,
okay,
you have reduced them to a beast. Very. So
great.
Fingers at home, but never in your pockets.
Never in your pockets.
Never in your pockets.
Does that would look withdrawn or separate or scared?
I don't care. I'm so casual. I don't care.
Okay.
We could go into body language ad nauseum, but it's all covered in this book.
It's all covered in the book. Yeah. So you do individual coaching too, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Can you do that by Skype for people who don't live in on the Vancouver Island where we live?
I absolutely do. Most of my coaching, independent individual coaching, is done via Skype. Now, where we're working on voice, and I actually need to be in the room, then what I do is create a day where we take a day and we work voice and we work body and we cram it in there so that then we can continue knowing what's expected.
I love it.
I can hear which voice you're using. I can see what your body is doing, even if I'm only watching you from the waist up.
I would think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are things that your feet do that are really unfortunate too. When we get nervous, we rock. Have you ever been in a bank lineup and the person in front of you has a baby and the lady is rocking the baby or the man is rocking the baby?
Right.
Well, how long is it before you start rocking the baby too? When we're nervous, we comfort ourselves. And not only do we shift from side to side, which makes us seasick, we also go forward and back.
That makes sense.
You're not fooling anybody. everyone knows that this is a dissipation of nerves, or they don't know quite whether to believe you or not, because you're not standing and delivering.
That makes sense.
You're edging around, and you just don't look as confident. So make yourself feel confident by putting your feet under your shoulders, and most people will assume sumo wrestler stance, the spread. So here's how you find your feet position. Put your feet directly underneath you, bunions and heels together.
Okay.
Now, splay them a la Mary Poppins or ballet first position. Keep your heels together and get your toes out to the side. Okay. Now, rotate on the balls of your feet and put your heels right behind that.
Okay.
That is shoulder width. Doesn't it feel narrow?
It does.
It does.
I'm trying it here while you're talking. Yeah.
Yes. Did you realize that your feet are this long from here to here?
No, I didn't.
Approximately. Because, and from that position, you are free to move, you are free to stay, you're free to take a step, you're free. You also look completely in control. When we touch ourselves,
right,
we're on the stage and we do any of this stuff, it's a dissipation of nerves. And we really are just comforting ourselves. It's okay, baby, you'll be all right. When we stand with our hands on our hips, we are sending a very definite message. But so are we by doing this. We're sending messages. When we're steepling, we're sending messages. Be sure the message you're sending is the one you intend to send.
Smart. Yeah, I never would have considered all of that either. I'm just going to make you my new best friend and get you to hang around with me while I practice all this.
Sure.
Okay, so Rosemary, authors are a diversified bunch. So, you know, they're writing everything from self-help and short story compilations and cookbooks to sci-fi, romance, mystery, right? So what are the main considerations an author should contemplate before contacting an event organizer about speaking at their event? Because I can see a mystery author wondering, where would I speak?
Absolutely right.
Right.
The first thing is that you need to have a campaign before your book launches. You can't just announce that you have a book the day your book is launching.
Okay.
You need to drive attention to it. It is just as important to speak about the book before it comes out as it is after. So you need to be building excitement before that launch date. Mm-hmm. If you want to have the greatest impact, everybody and his puppy has to be ready to hit that button the minute you say it's launch time. The other thing that is very valuable, I found, is to have copies out to some strategic individuals so they can post reviews before it's even out.
Okay.
Now, if you want to speak about your book, I suggest that you find like-minded individuals. If your book is a mystery and you want to share the book, I know a lot of people do book tours after the book has come out, and that's wonderful. And you go to book signings and you can do all of those sorts of things after the book is released. Before the book comes out is equally important. Please don't forget that. Please don't forget to make sure your book is known before it ever hits the buy and sell stages.
Right.
So I would suggest, first of all, that you go to your local library and you offer to do a book talk there before your book is out.
Right.
Get the excitement building. I would also suggest going to local bookstores before the book is out and then repeat it after the book is out. Take your one copy of your book with you as an example and start talking about it long before. Get it out to everybody on social media and ask them to share. Offer If someone wants to buy the book at an early bird price, at a pre-launch price, you take that information down and you get them to share.
I love it.
You can't just sit in the quiet of your office, write your book, get it published, and then go, ta-da, I have a book.
Which is what almost every author does, right?
Yes.
We wait. So
excellent
advice, getting the word out there long in advance and establishing those relationships, getting people equally excited, like building your little tribe, I guess, is what you're actually doing.
Absolutely. And then getting them to share. I mean, we're how many steps away from every person on the planet, and degrees of separation. So get the planet to know that your book is coming out.
There was a group in, and I forgot about this, so I haven't actually talked about it for a long time. There was a group in Surrey, and this person started a book club in a library. You actually made me think of this. And I guess, you know, she talked about her book too, but she also showcased other authors. So coming together as a team, you know, I think would be crucial to being able to do readings from your book and letting people know that it's there and helping other people do the same thing with their books.
We tend to think of authorship as a one-man show.
Yeah.
Unless we're doing a compilation or something like that. But when it's our own book, we tend to think of ourselves as it. When it comes to speaking about the book, why would you not gather other people? The bigger the crowd, the more varied the interest, the more opportunity you have to score.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, Rosemarie, thank you for all your wisdom that you shared with us today. I'm so happy. And I know you're going to stick around for half an hour and answer questions that people might have in the comment section. So people, don't forget to ask questions and be brave, because Rosemarie says learning is like a big part of becoming more confident. So Rosemarie, do you have any parting words that you'd like to share with the people today?
I would. I'd like to talk just very briefly about the power to reinvent. Because in today's highly disruptive technologies, in a good way, in a bad way, in all kinds of ways, there's no denying that we're being hit with technology all the time. We have to reinvent to stay appropriate. My parents are hedging 90, and they will not have, my father in particular, will not have a computer in the house. Who's that hurting? Only him. It doesn't matter what business you are, whether you're an author or whether you are a plumber or anything in between. No disregard to anybody, but unless you're keeping up with the newest, or at least the nearly newest, you are going to fall behind. Reinvention is an attitude. It takes as much courage to reinvent as it does to just start out. I always did it that way. Why should I change? For authors, well, a case in point. When I first started writing, computers weren't big in everybody's home. So I learned to write old-fashioned way with a pencil and paper. When I started writing for books, I would write it out and then transfer it to the computer. Now, how wasteful was that? Please be sure to adapt to the new ways. If you're a genius, oh my goodness, I am so not a big friend of technology. If anything doesn't go wrong, it does. But you cannot remain current without the courage to reinvent. Just step out of your comfort zone just a little bit. Get a team to help you. Get buy-in everywhere you go. If it's not your zone of genius, get someone to do it for you. Get help. You have to do something, even if it's not your particular piece of power, as it is for me, good heavens. But if you don't change with the times, you will be left behind.
That's true. That's really good advice. Which brings me to another thing that I know that you do, and I can't believe I didn't think to ask you about it. You actually record audiobooks for people.
I do.
And I think that's where we're going. I'm sorry, but I think that in the next 20 years, my guess is the next 20 years, 50% of what people do with books will be listening. They'll be listening to them. So we really need to be moving, like you said, reinventing yourself and stretching and creating audiobooks. Do you agree?
You know, there are many different learning styles. Some people enjoy listening. They learn that way. Others need to see. They need to have the book in front of them. They need to see it. They need to feel the paper. They need to, others are kinetic. They need to write things. You go and do a presentation and you tell them, I'm going to give you all the information. I'll send it to you by email, or here it is in a piece of paper. People will still write because that's how they learn. There are right brain people, left brain people. When you speak or when you write, it is my opinion and my opinion only. We have to reach right brain, left brain, and at least audio, visual, and kinetic learning styles. I really love doing audiobooks because, hello, with this voice, I do audiobooks. And I love listening to audiobooks. When I'm driving across the island and across the country, I listen to audiobooks. I think they're fantastic.
Me too. Like I love it, and that's why I say I think it's going to go more and more that way. Mostly because it's hard to get all your reading done in the busy schedules we have, right? Where if you're traveling, right, and you can listen, you can learn, you can be entertained,
and yet, you can cry. And yet, for some, and I must confess, I do the same. When I've listened to the audiobook and found it fulfilling, I rush out and buy the hard copy too.
I like both too. I like to listen and I like to read. And you just
I write in them. And I write in them.
And you write.
So I'm hitting audio, visual. And so if you are an author and you are only relying on writing, you are missing a great proportion of the world that are visual.
Right. I think that it's going to grow. I think
our attention spans are changing. Good, bad, for ugly, it doesn't matter. Our attention spans are changing. And to sit down and read a chapter of a book, it takes a lot more effort than to just listen to it.
Right. Yeah. Because you can listen to a book while you're cooking dinner.
Sure.
Right? There's just so many times in the bathtub, whatever you want, right? Where you might not take your e-reader.
Now, there is something that you will find argument about this.
What's that?
Men in particular, and I'm not dissing men. I love men. I hate man bashing. But men in particular shy away from multitasking. They believe, and I don't mean everybody, but the ones I'm talking about believe that you do one thing, you do it brilliantly, and then you move on to the next.
Okay.
Nobody can multitask because then you're jipping everything. There may be some truth to that. But in this world, we don't have time to be that diligent about one thing at a time. Consider what's happening around your house when a typical woman is cooking supper and she's got a family around her. Well, she's got something frying on the stove. She may have a load of laundry and going at the same time. One of her children may be showing her this fabulous picture, and another one may be trying to tell her all about this kid who was picking on her. And then, and you see, and all the time we're cooking dinner. Most of the time we don't burn it. Most of the time the laundry doesn't get forgotten in the washing machine. We can and must multitask, even at the little things. Now, that doesn't mean that you're actively doing more than one thing at a time, but it does mean that our attentions are split. And in this world, that's what I'm talking about. If we don't accept that we cannot just do one thing at a time, because we can't keep up if we do. So why not have your book available in every format you can get it in?
No, I love it. I really think it's really, really important. Okay, so I know people are going to be asking lots of questions, so I'm going to end our interview there. So again, everybody, stick around for Rosemary, and she's going to answer your questions. And the best way you can thank Rosemary for giving us her time today is to purchase one or all of her books. And glad you joined us. See you in the comment section.
Bye-bye, everybody.